Kaiden Guhle shut down Sidney Crosby in the game last night, and we have some stats to back that up. I'll be getting into that. Plus, is Jonathan Drouin back to his old self after that cross-ice pass to Caufield for the tying goal last night? There is some hope to be seen for him. Finally, we'll talk about Arber Xhekaj and his new nickname from his Montreal Canadiens teammates. Hello, bonjour, and welcome everyone to today's news episode of Habs Digest. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. We've been blown away by the support on these past couple game recap videos, and we'd love to keep that going. So, first topic today for today's news video. Kaiden Guhle absolutely shut down Sidney Crosby in the Habs versus Penguins game last night. And I got some stats to back that up. So, if you watched the game last night, and you watched my game recap of it, you know how impressed I was with Guhle and just how impactful he was on the ice. He felt like Montreal's best player defensively and even offensively with 2 assists last night. But you know, the eye test isn't always super reliable. Sure, us fans sitting in our seats can say, wow, he played a great game. But what about JFresh? You know, one of the hockey community's best advanced statisticians. Well, let's just take a look at what he had to say. Kaiden Guhle, Montreal number 21, played a suffocating two-way game in Montreal's 3-2 comeback win over Pittsburgh. The rookie tallied 2 assists with a 63% expected goals for percentage in 24 minutes. 60% of his time was head-to-head with number 87, Sidney Crosby. So if you watched my video a couple days ago on Kirby Doc and what expected goals for percentage means, you'll know what it is, but for those of you who aren't familiar, expected goals for percentage is essentially your team's percent chance versus the other team at scoring a goal when a certain player is on the ice. So while Kaiden Guhle was on the ice, Montreal was at 63% likely to score a goal, while Pittsburgh was sitting at about 37%. So that is impressive on its own. But also 60% of Kaiden Guhle's ice time was spent against Sidney Crosby. And he is a rookie defenseman. Sidney Crosby is probably the best player of our generation, if you're around my age. But oh man, just the fact that Marty St. Louis has the confidence to throw Kaiden Guhle in there against the stars of his generation is incredible. And not only was 60% of his ice time against Crosby, most of Crosby's ice time was while Guhle was out there. So sure, 60% of Guhle's 24 minutes, but 15 minutes and 28 seconds of Sidney Crosby's 18 minutes and 58 seconds of ice time last night was with Kaiden Guhle on the ice. So Crosby played 19 minutes last night, 15 and a half of them Marty St. Louis countered with Kaiden Guhle. That is absolutely ridiculous, and the confidence Marty has in this young man, the confidence I have and you should have in Kaiden Guhle is insane. So we'll move on from Kaiden Guhle to our second topic. Is Jonathan Drouin back to his old self? So this kind of relates back to Guhle in a way, because if you remember the game-tying goal last night with just over 2 minutes left in regulation, it was a face-off win by Nick Suzuki, straight back to the blue line where Kaiden Guhle was. Guhle feeds it down to the right half wall to Jonathan Drouin, and he fires a beautiful seeing eye pass all the way across the ice through 4 or 5 sticks right to Caufield for a perfect one-timer, ties the game, sends it to overtime, where the Montreal Canadiens eventually win on a goal from Kirby Doc. But that pass from Drouin, if you've been watching him for years, since juniors even, on the Halifax Mooseheads, one thing that everyone always had to say about Jonathan Drouin was that his vision is phenomenal. He can almost predict a play before it happens. He has a special eye for the game. A problem that he's had recently, though, is one, he's been injured physically, and of course he had those mental issues, as I've mentioned, and I believe most videos where we've spoken about him. But he tends to overthink sometimes when he's on the ice. You'll watch him play, and you can tell he wants to do something risky, but he'll say, oh, maybe that's a little too risky. I don't know. But his mind for the game, the things that he sees, is next level, and that was evident last night. So not only was that pass incredible, it looked like a drawn-up play, right? It looked like maybe Alexandre Burrows designed that play, Guhle to Drouin, cross-ice to Caufield for the goal. It looked planned. But what if I told you it wasn't? According to Arpon Basu, Nick Suzuki said that this play was not what was drawn up by Alex Burrows during the timeout. It was purely Drouin making the read and making a play. Looked like a textbook execution of a drawn-up play, but it wasn't. It was Drouin seeing what was in front of him. And, credit doesn't only go to Jonathan Drouin here. I mean, of course, he made that pass. He broke the scheduled play the play that Alex Burrows drew up, because he saw something that the defense didn't even see. He saw Caufield wide open on the other side of the ice. But this doesn't only speak to Drouin. I mean, while I'm super pleased with this pass and his play last night, these last 2 games, he clearly wants to be in Montreal. He has played so well. He has played his way up the lineup, in my opinion. But I think a lot of the credit also goes to Martin St. Louis. And the reason for that is because he came in talking about how he doesn't really like the idea of systems. He likes the idea of concepts. So if you can have a concept with certain guys on the ice, he likes to let the players do whatever they want, sort of, play to their own intuition when you're in a certain offensive set. And Drouin just executed it perfectly last night. It was a perfect exhibition of what St. Louis wants the guys to do. Instead of being afraid to break a structured play, sometimes, I'm sure a lot of you playing hockey or whatever sport you played growing up, if the coaches draw up a play and you decide to do something other than what the play said and it doesn't work, you're probably getting benched, you're probably getting yelled at, and a lot of coaches in the NHL probably do the same thing. But Marty has instilled so much confidence in these guys, especially Drouin on that play, to just do whatever you see. Because if that pass doesn't go through, and Burrows drew up a play and it didn't work, we're probably sitting here thinking, well, that was crappy. But that St. Louis would have had Drouin's back no matter what. The pass went through, it was a goal, great, but even if it didn't go through, the fact that he saw that and went for it speaks volumes to the confidence in the Montreal Canadiens this season. So back on the topic of Martin St. Louis, I wanted to talk a little bit about some Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki stats since St. Louis took over. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is an image posted by Go Habs Go 31 on the Habs subreddit. If you're not subscribed there, I suggest you go there. I'm there. I look around a lot. A lot of the stuff for these videos come from ideas that I've seen there. And I like to bring those to you guys, but I like to contribute there. So what he posted, and I went and confirmed this, you can go confirm these stats on Hockey Reference yourself if you want, but since Coach Marty took over the Habs, Cole Caufield and Nick Suzuki each have 41 games played. They each have 39 points. Suzuki's are 14 goals, 25 assists. Caufield is 25 goals and 14 assists. Mirror stats to each other, and I think that is just the perfect way to show how this first line works with Suzuki and Caufield playing next to each other. And not only that, it speaks to how effective Martin St. Louis has been as a head coach. These guys are both almost a point per game. That's 75 points, 75-point pace. I mean, if both those guys came out with 75 points this season, we would be thrilled. I mean, last year Suzuki was our leader with, 60-something, 64? I mean, there were stretches where he wouldn't get a point for many games, but this year, things look different. And I mean, since Marty took over, things look different. So those stats, I think, just spoke volumes to how those guys work together. And just, again, talking about how much confidence Martin St. Louis instills in these guys. So I'm super excited to see that trend continue. Hopefully, we can get them above a point per game since Marty took over. Can you imagine that? Caufield and Suzuki both averaging over a point a game since Martin St. Louis took over? It's not that far-fetched. They just need to be over it for the next couple games, and maybe you'll see me coming back here talking about that in a few days. So the final topic for today, you may have seen it, when I decided to put this into the video talking about Arber Xhekaj's new nickname being leaked, I thought it was just going to be a little thing that I saw on Habs Twitter, but sure, it went viral. I've seen it on the NHL Facebook page. I've seen 4 or 5 friends sending it to me. But yeah, so we might as well talk about it. Maybe you have seen it, maybe you haven't seen it, but let's get right into it. Eric Engels tweeted that he was talking to Xhekaj. He said, "You need to come up with a more creative nickname for Slav." Xhekaj said he's working on it. "Well, what's yours? X?" "Yeah, and some guys call me Wi-Fi." "Oh, really?" "Yeah, you know how a Wi-Fi password usually looks something like my last name." Now that is creative. Isn't that creative? I mean, it's a great nickname, sure. I mean, I get it. Xhekaj. It does sound like it, but I'm gonna take a hot take here, okay? I don't think it's an amazing nickname. I think that it's it makes sense, but I think they can come up with something better. Like, I like the Sheriff. I like just something that talks about him being scary. I really don't want the announcers to be coming in calling him Wi-Fi on the ice. That's not intimidating. Xhekaj's a big guy with great stash, great facial hair, well-dressed man. He's a physical beast on the ice, and you're going to be out there calling him Wi-Fi. I get it, but I don't want that to become mainstream. And, I want you guys to talk about that in the description, whether you agree with me or not. But while it's a cool nickname, sure, I guess, with some guys in the room, Big X or just even X, it just sounds way more intimidating to me. So that's my hot take. I'm not a huge fan of the Wi-Fi nickname. I know it's been talked about everywhere, but I'm not for it, but I want to hear your guys' opinions on what you think of that nickname, whether you want to hear the announcers call him that, you want to hear that nickname being spoke about in games or not. Let me know down below. But other than that, that'll do it for today's news video. Thank you for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. The support's been amazing. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, so if you can help out with that, share with your family, friends, whoever you think might be interested. I've been Josh Gosse, and I'll see you in the next video.